So you just mentioned that you had to get your license in Canada.
Right.
Could you tell us a little bit how was this process, like everything that you had to do to get your license?
Yeah. I don't know if it's still like up to date, the process, but back then when I started, what you had to do is you get all the description of your curriculum. You translate that to French because I'm living in Montreal and the official language is French. So you translate it to French and you send to what they call the physiotherapy order, which is, I think it's the parallel to the PTA and the Crefito in Brazil. So you send them on and they will analyze it. They will take a look and they will compare to the Canadian standards of practice. And then I will see how many hours you did of this, the electrotherapy, manual therapy, pain, physiology, and etc. And then they will compare to the standard. And they will see what it's missing on your curriculum to be equivalent to the Canadian standards. And then they determine how many credits you shall take and which matter you shall take, and you need to do some
Yeah, the internship, maybe?
internship. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
You have to do internship. I had to do 2 courses, and that's another thing though. The professional order determines what you have to do, but it doesn't say at which level. So they say orthopedics, but you go to McGill University, you have orthopedics 1, 2, and 3. So then you have to take a placement test. And then that placement test will tell you where you're going to pick up from. I was excused from orthopedics, but the order asked me neurology and psychotherapy. I don't even know why. Yeah. So I went to McGill University. Well, they asked me for psychotherapy. They said, well, we don't offer that course in here. I said, oops, I think we have a problem now. And said, no, just take anything that fulfill those credits. You shall be fine. He said, okay, I'll take orthopedics because, I'm an orthopedic guy. Should be easy breezy. So I went there and I took the placement test. So I was placed in orthopedic 3. I also took a neurology test and I was placed in neurology 2, which they had only 2. So my equivalence was very quick. I did 2 courses. Then I was lucky enough to have one in fall and the other one right in spring. So it was one after the other. Then I did my 2 internships that was the requirement. And 7 months later, I had my license. So that was pretty quick.
Oh, yeah. That's awesome. It looks like my process.
Yeah, but you know what? There was a lucky shot because most of people take like 3 years. They have to wait. I don't know what was the thing, but my process went just like flashing speed, really quick.
Nice. Yeah, so like I'm a Brazilian as well, and then I had to get my license in US. It took me almost 3 years to get my license. So it was a long process. I had to do the same thing, translate everything to English and then submit so they could tell me what I was missing. And then it was quick. I just had to do like 3 subjects that I did online. It was super quick and easy, nothing crazy. And then I had to do like a humanities class. I took like a Spanish. I was like, probably it's easier for us that we speak Portuguese as the first language. And then I had to prove experience that I proved from Brazil. So I didn't have to do the internship. But then it's just a lot of bureaucracy, and they took 6 months just to the first evaluation to analyze all my papers and everything. And then after all, you still have to do the bar test that every American needs to pass it after college. So then I studied to this test, and then it was more time waiting around than actually doing. It just takes too long.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm jealous of you. 7 months. That's pretty quick.
It was pretty quick, but one thing that I think that speed up things, it was that I went to this English-speaking university. So most of people, when they come here to Montreal, to Quebec, because the immigration process, it's particular to Quebec. It's not like it's federal government. Mm-hmm. It's a provincial government that determines the immigration process. So most people that come to here, they come already speaking French. So the waiting list for the University of Montreal, which is a French-speaking university, it's huge. My wife waited about that 2.5 years before she started her equivalent. So that is one thing that counted on my favor. Another thing is that I started the process when I was already in Brazil. In 2009, I took a trip here to Montreal because I didn't want to just come here to a place I've never been, don't know anything. So I came for like exploratory kind of trip. So, and I set up a meeting with the coordinator of people that wants to do those equivalents, the immigrant or foreign physiotherapists. I set up a meeting with her and I took everything, all my documentation, said, what really matters here? Because I didn't want to spend, all thousands and thousands of dollars on useless stuff. So I sat down with her and said, what really matters here? So we spent like a couple hours and she was really nice. She took a look at all my stuff and said, no, that we don't need it. That we don't need it. So I ended up having only half of stuff to translate, which was a huge change on our budget. It was awesome, really. It was already worth the trip, the tickets and everything else. So that was one thing. And another thing that kind of sped up to the things is that the McGill University also allowed me to have a meeting with the coordinator. So I said, what do I need to do? Can I do anything before I come here? She said, well, there's not really much to do before you get the response from the order. But I went back to Brazil. That was in 2009. I went back to Brazil. Maybe, I don't know, 6 months later, I got the decision from the order. But it was still like maybe 7 months until I moved in here. So I contacted McGill and said, what can I do from here already? It allowed me to do tons of stuff like documentation that they needed, separate everything, same. So I guess when I got there, my place in the waiting list had already advanced. So I think it was just a combination of a lucky shots and timing.
Yeah, and that was smart. I did as well. I started in Brazil before I moved here, but it's just a lot. I feel that it's a lot of time consuming processing everything. And also another part that I think it's very difficult for foreign trained PTs is the English part, because it depends on the state. Every state they have different rules. But like on my state, Tennessee, they ask for the TOEFL, a very specific, like the speaking part of the TOEFL, you had to get a super high score, like 26 out of 30. For them to start looking at your document. So if you don't get this score, they don't even like look at everything. So so if you are moving and you don't know a lot of English and never lived abroad, it takes a while until you get used to, and it's not something that you can learn really quick.
Yeah, that's true.
It takes time. You have to practice. You have to live and experience and try to talk to people. So that was a huge thing, I guess, for me in the beginning, because I needed to get this score. I was like, I have to improve my English. And
wow, what a challenge, Mariana.
Oh, yeah, it was a lot of steps. But finally we are here, right?
There you go. Look at us now.
Yeah, right? Nice.